Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm finishing up this series today. 4 days in a row I've been doing this, but I really just wanted to complete this series just because next week I'm starting a new career opportunity. So that's kind of been something that's been going on with me lately. I haven't been consistent with the videos. I've just been doing them when I can, but this new job is going to take a lot more time from my schedule, but at least I have completed what I set out to do, and the entire book, Shifting the Torah Paradigm, is now on video format anyway. I wanted to show you just real quick. If you go to my channel, you can see a lot of people usually go to videos most of the time, but for some reason, the way I do it, I use StreamYard, and then when it converts over to YouTube, I have the option of editing. Sometimes when I edit the video, it'll appear here when I make it public on the home tab. Sometimes it'll go to the videos tab. Sometimes it will stay in the live tabs, because when I do these videos, I do them live. Okay, so I'm sorry it's so inconsistent, but yeah, you just have to search these 3 tabs to find all of my videos. Now, I tell people the best place to go is the playlists tab, because each series that I do is in the playlists. All right. So for instance, and you might see a few things that I have private for me that you won't see if you go to this. But like, for instance, the early years. People want to know about, well, what about Cain and Abel and Noah and Abraham? They sacrificed, right? So you go here and you can see the 4 videos that I have in chapter 4 of the book, all right? And, come on. This is a good one, the most essential playlist for understanding biblical veganism. If you have this is the one place where I would tell you, if they're Bible believers especially, because there is a lot of Bible stuff in here. You know, that's the thing about my channel, is that it's based on a lot of religious text and history. So anyway, that's that. That is the channel. Thank you for subscribing, everyone. I lost a lot of subscribers when I started doing vegan videos. And so I do appreciate gaining so many subscribers, the ones that have subscribed since I started doing these videos. It's just really, I'm speaking to a different audience now. So I just wanted to get started and talk about the obvious, the observing what is obvious, the characteristics, the attributes of animals and humans. They're so much different than that of plants. Okay, so that's the approach to this topic in this video. We're not going to look at so much scripture or the Bible, but we're going to look at, for instance, the Creator, he made humans and animals with digestive systems, right? Everything with blood flowing in its veins, everything with the breath of life. It has the ability to eat, okay? So in other words, humans and animals, we are the eaters. This giraffe you see up here, he is an eater. He was created with a digestive system to eat, okay? These are just obvious signs. Plants, however, this tree in his mouth was created to be eaten, okay? It's as simple as that, all right? And even though plant-based, the garden diet, even though it's evident, which it is, when you read the Bible, it's evident, Genesis 1, it's evident that the plants were given to us for plants. People are still going to read carnivorism into the text. It's just inevitable. People are so hard-headed that they will do this. But when you do, you got to realize that it is so disruptive to this order of design, to the obvious, to the characteristics that we are going to look at today. That perspective it just shows you what's logical and what's practical, what's convenient versus what is not. Okay, like I explained yesterday, picking an apple from a tree is convenient, whereas going through the process of killing and butchering, slaughtering a cow is inconvenient. Okay, everything that you're left with, that you have to discard a lot of the body parts, the pool of blood that you're left with. All right. So one is practical, one is not. One produces life and the other produces death, okay? I would rather eat life than eat death, okay? And the fact that animals don't want to die, this is another thing, all right? They have the instinct to defend themselves when humans attack. That should be enough to prove that they were never intended to be eaten, all right? Plants don't possess that defense reflex that's fear-based, okay? They don't have that fear-based instinct to protect themselves when they are attacked, all right? Why would God create humans and animals with the ability to eat certain items that were clearly designed for food, but then instruct Adam to eat the animals? It doesn't make sense, okay? People are afraid to say this. They don't want to know what makes sense. They want to go by their religion or what they believe the Bible says. But when you look at what makes sense, it just becomes obvious. I mean, does it make sense to think that he designed eaters to eat each other? That he designed eaters to be eaten by other eaters? Does it make sense to think that this giraffe was created to be eaten by humans? That's what dude said in that video that I was talking about yesterday. He was talking about the Ark encounter. He said they only had 2 giraffes. They should have had 7 because giraffes are clean animals and we're allowed to eat giraffes. This is a Torah guy. I was like, are you kidding? You went to the Ark encounter and that's what you're talking about now. That's what you retained from the Ark encounter, was that you're upset because they didn't have 7 giraffes. Well, giraffes are a clean animal. I mean, he was excited about it. We can eat giraffes. No, you can't. You have to spill their blood. It violates their free will. And that's the point, is that they weren't designed to be food. Does it make sense to think he designed eaters to be eaten? No, it doesn't. It makes the most sense to think that he designed all eaters to eat plants. Plants don't feel pain, okay? It makes the most sense that the Creator made the animals with the same eating ability as humans because he intended for us all to eat the same food. And the food that he has given us does not feel pain. It doesn't have this instinct, all right? This fear-based instinct to defend itself, right? So basically, eaters eat and food is eaten, okay? Eaters were not designed to eat each other. Eaters weren't designed to be eaten at all, okay? So eaters shouldn't be classified as food any more than food should be classified as an eater, okay? And yes, we will get to the Venus flytrap. That's going to be a big part of this video, okay? So in the most practical, in the most logical sense, it is most consistent to separate and categorize plants and animals, the different forms of creation based on the obvious similarities, okay? So that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to show you this chart. It's in the book. It's in this section, Eaters by Design, all right? So when you're talking about sentience, self-awareness, personal identity, yes, humans and animals have these qualities. Plants do not. Humans and animals have blood life. Plants do not. Humans and animals have the breath of life. We possess the 5 senses, okay? Sight, touch, taste, and it is all connected to the central nervous system. the organs, the bodily systems, everything, the way that our bodies are designed, it is connected to our brain, which plants do not have. And that's why Venus flytraps are not carnivorous plants. Okay, they don't have brains, they can't eat, they can't digest, they absorb. All right. Subject to physical suffering. Yes, humans and animals, we can suffer. We have, when we get cut with a knife or something, if you're chopping an onion and you hit your finger, you can feel that. Okay, you can feel pain. Plants don't feel pain. That onion that I was chopping does not feel pain. Okay. Natural defense instincts. Yeah, okay, like fear-based instinct. Okay, it's different with plants. People will say, oh, well, plants have defense instinct too. Well, it's not an instinct. It's a because they don't have brains. They're not afraid. Okay, plants do not defend themselves because they fear an attacker. Okay, and they were just designed to I guess thrive or do whatever they do based on their design, but that design does not include a central nervous system or a brain, so they don't fear things. Okay, they were designed to adapt to whatever environment they were placed in. Okay, the plants do not have emotions, and humans and animals do. Free will, or the will to live. Okay, it's not a will. Plants do not have the will to live. Okay, they were just designed to grow. Okay, communication. Plants don't communicate. Okay, and I know there are some friends I have who talk to their plants. Okay, that's fine, whatever. I don't care. Maybe it's a good therapeutic thing to do. I don't talk to my plants. They've never said anything to me. So, but humans and animals, they can communicate with their creator. And I read something very interesting yesterday in the Gospel of the Holy 12, where Yeshua went down to Egypt to learn a lot of to learn about, he learned a lot of things while he was down there for 7 years, but it said that he learned to communicate with the animals in the language of God or something. I can't remember how exactly it was put, but it just showed his relationship with animals was learned when he was going through all these travels. He went to India and just different places and learned to communicate with the animals. All right. And the animals were not afraid of him. And then there's a story about the lions and how it just came and laid at his feet. Okay, commanded to be fruitful and multiply. Yes, and we're going to see that they were given a reproductive system. Humans and animals were given a reproductive system. All right, I'm going to quote this animal rights activist Arvind Kanan. He makes a very valid point. He says plants are insentient creatures. Sentient means a creature that can feel pain or suffering and has consciousness. In order to be sentient, a being needs to possess a brain and a central nervous system connected to different receptors. Ocular receptors, which is your eyes, the ability to see. Sonar receptors, which is ears or hearing. Tactile receptors, which is skin or touch, gustatory receptors, which is tongue or taste, and olfactory receptors, which is nose or smell. Only when you have receptors and a brain and a nervous system can you think, see, smell, feel and touch, hear and taste. When you don't have these receptors, none of those things are possible. I think that is really good, and there are just some people who really need to wake up to that and realize and quit using these arguments that, plants feel pain, things like that. If you're going to say that you shouldn't kill to eat, then you shouldn't kill plants, because when you have to kill a plant to eat it. Well, first of all, no, you don't. Like for instance, that's why an apple tree stays alive. When you pick the fruit, actually the fruit that's in your hand still possesses the life that it had produced. The tree's still alive and the apple's still alive. Okay? And when you eat that, you are eating life. Now, it requires death for you to eat an animal. You can't eat an animal alive. I guess you could, but the fact is, the moment you cut away at the flesh, it is dead. Flesh does not stay alive when you cut it away. I don't know anyone who would cut away flesh a slice at a time from a living animal. That's just morbid to think about. But the fact is that the moment an animal dies, it starts to decay instantly. I mean, it doesn't retain the life like an apple does when you pluck it from a tree. Okay? And it's telling that God created certain living creatures with the breath of life, with blood life, and that he created another form of life that doesn't possess any of these design characteristics, and we are free to eat those. The plants, they don't feel pain. They don't possess a center of consciousness. They were not designed with digestive systems like humans and animals, okay? They were designed to be digested, all right? And it's good for your body to get those raw nutrients, okay? Animals, on the other hand, humans and animals, we were designed to consume, not to be consumed, okay? Animals weren't designed to be consumed, okay? So we looked at that. I guess we can go to, I wanted to show you guys, there was a website I found yesterday. I'm gonna bring it up here just to show you guys a few of the systems that are in humans and animals. Humans and animals were created alike. I like that it says here, organs and organ systems are the highest levels of complexity forming the human organism, and it's the same in animals, okay? Integumentary system, which is the outer shell, the skin, the hair, the nails, okay? Humans and animals have this. The skeletal system, bones, bone structure. Muscular system, humans and animals have this, and this is what most people will consume in an animal, is the muscular different cuts. Have you ever seen the charts of the different cuts of animals? It shows you what's bacon or what is a pork chop, The nervous system, the central nervous system, everything's connected to the brain and the spinal cord. It's how you feel pain. Animals have this, humans and animals. The endocrine system, which is a lot of glands. The cardiovascular system, hey, humans and animals were given the blood life, okay? Lymphatic system. And our Creator, he's just amazing to think of all of these things, to put in the souls of humanity and animals, to make them into living souls. The respiratory system, when Yahuwah breathes life into humans and animals, he made them into living souls, okay? Digestive systems, urinary systems, we are the eaters. Animals are eaters. We were not meant to be eaten anymore, or animals were not meant to be eaten any more than humans were meant to be eaten. We all have digestive systems, reproductive systems, okay? And be fruitful and multiply. All right, so there's just a quick look at all the systems. I'll put this link in the description if you want to take a look at these. But I thought this was a really cool breakdown of the different systems. And what do you know? It's no different in animals. Now, the words on these are too hard to see. I couldn't find the same diagrams like I found on that website for humans. So all of these were just charts showing the different systems. It's the same thing. You're getting the same thing here. You just can't read what it says, but it's talking about the circulatory systems, the nervous systems, the cow anatomy, the skeletal system, the muscular system. Everything's the same, guys. No different in animals than it is in humans, all right? The anatomy of a cow. All right, we're going to go to this. I'm not sure who needs to hear this, but Venus flytraps do not digest bugs. They absorb anything with nutrients. They are not carnivorous plants. They do not need to eat insects, okay? They do not fall under any of the same categories, the characteristic categories. They don't have the same qualities or characteristics as humans or animals, okay? And I want you to know right now that this is not a Venus flytrap. They do not have teeth or a tongue, okay? You got to get this idea out of your head that it's a living animal, okay? People have been playing too many video games, which I'm guilty. I love me some Mario. Me and my son and my daughter, we go at it sometimes. And sometimes even my wife will jump in. Okay, this is a Venus flytrap. Looky here. These are not teeth, guys. Okay? And these little sensors right here that people say, oh, yeah, that's how they eat, is those sensory receptors. Well, guess what? These sensory receptors are different than humans and animals. They are not connected to a central nervous system because this Venus flytrap does not have a brain, okay? This is a Venus. It's a plant, guys. Look, it's a plant, and those are the flowers, right? Okay. I'm done here for a second. Well, I really hope that helps, guys. Let me just for a minute, I want to piggyback off of something that I was discussing yesterday in the previous section. One thing that I find ironic is that animal eaters, they often assume that the nutrients that they receive come straight from the animal itself, and that's not true, guys. You know, in reality, those people are receiving their nutrients. They're getting the nutrients that the animal digested, okay? They're getting the nutrients that the animal already processed during the span of its life, okay? If you are what you eat, as the saying goes, then animals consist of the plants that they consume, okay? Does that make sense? That's good for the animal, but the person eating that animal is only receiving filtered, secondhand nutrients, all right? So, and one of the most common myths is that protein comes from animal tissues. And that's simply not true. Protein comes from the ground, from the plants that, you know, all nutrients come from the ground. Plants are the conduit that brings those nutrients out of the ground and into whatever consumes the plants. Okay, so plants are the key, right? That's why God created plants, because we were made from the earth. Humans and animals were made from the dust of the ground, the earth, and we had nutrients, but we needed to retain those nutrients. So he designed plants to bring up those nutrients out of the ground for us to eat. It's a perfect design, guys. It makes so much sense. But people don't want to know what's obvious. They don't want to hear how simple it can be. Protein comes from plants. It's passed through the animal, but the animal is an unnatural conduit. That's the problem, okay? Protein, it's initially made by plants, but it's not necessary to eat animal tissue in order to get protein, okay? Plants. they have the ability to take the nitrogen from the air and break down the molecules apart to incorporate the nitrogen into amino acids and then make the protein, okay? So you really get your protein from plants because plant proteins have a much more effect on our physiology, basically. And that's some notes that I had from a Dr. Milton Mills, who is a physician, but he's also an advocate of the plant-based diet, and he's a Bible believer. So he gets it. I mean, it makes sense. So I thought that was really cool. He broke it down like the science of it or the medical part of it. However, I don't know, whatever you want to call that, whatever I just explained. But I thought that was neat, and it really does make sense. But I guess just to break it down a little further, people who eat animals, they consume recycled proteins, all right? Sorry, it's just the way it is. They've already been absorbed and processed by the animal. So the animal received the full benefit of the protein, but the person who ate the animal didn't, okay? So that's just how it is, right? It's good for the animal, but not good for the person eating the animal. Vegans, however, or people who eat a plant-based diet, raw fruitarians, we receive the full benefit, all the nutrients directly from the plants. We don't have to go through a third party to receive those nutrients. So as far as the people who believe that they are receiving essential proteins from animal meat, they don't consider that in the process, they also consume the hormones from the animal and the blood that's cooked into that meat. And so ultimately the animal DNA, it becomes a part of the human anatomy because humans are eating those animals. It has adverse effects, okay? And, it's a common mentality that blood is cooked out. But the reality is that blood gets cooked in. It's digested no differently than, it's like a marinade. If you've ever marinated your chicken or whatever, when you used to eat meat, it's no different with blood. You pull you cook it, and you're not cooking that marinade out of the meat. It doesn't even make sense that it would do that. It would cook into it. It's not a magical process, but people somehow believe that it is for the flesh of animals. And a lot of people think, well, that's why God told us to drain the blood out first. Well, you can't drain all the blood out. You still eat blood when you eat animal flesh because there is no possible scientific way to remove all of the blood from animal flesh. It will always retain blood in it. And then some people say, well, it's different because you're cooking the blood. It's not raw blood. Well, that's true. And I would agree that cooked blood is certainly not as morbid as drinking raw blood, like all of these vampire communities who drink blood, these occult circles who have these rituals. Yeah, I mean, I get it. You're not getting that effect, but you're still eating blood either way, okay? And it's still against Torah to eat blood. So people who eat flesh are eating blood regardless. It's just cooked blood, and it is a violation of the law of Moses. So you can't really get around it. You can do the most you can to remain within those Mosaic standards, but there's really no way around it. You're eating blood. There are blood cells of animals that are going through your body, and that's what has adverse effects on humans. And animal DNA, it's just not compatible with human DNA. It's not safe to digest or ingest, okay? Our digestive system, it doesn't break down animal DNA, okay? It makes its way into our blood systems, and when our cells begin to try to build new cells, with animal cells, it causes our organs or our tissue, our blood to deform. And that's what causes a lot of the diseases. And someone was talking about this in Norval Husky he was explaining this, and it's something that I had added to this chapter of the book from what he was saying about the digestive systems. Anyway, it's so many people, they have double standards when it comes to putting animal DNA in their body. They have no problem eating the animal DNA, right? But they're against certain pharmaceuticals and jabs and different things like that. If it's a jab, whatever, if we're talking about the jab or just the standard jabs that you get when you're a kid, a lot of people are aware of the morality issue when it comes to combining animal DNA with our human DNA. They get it when it comes to jabs, right? They're aware of the morality issue. But when it comes to eating animal DNA, the same people, they instantly forget everything they believe about blending animal DNA with humans. So, and I've had people argue it's different when you're eating it than when you're just adding it to the blood system. Well, when you eat it, you are adding it to the blood system. Either way, it makes its way to the blood system and it causes disease, okay? And I have no doubt that our Creator had this in mind when He made the plants, okay, to be food for us. So I felt like there was something else I wanted to say. Maybe I'll remember. Oh, well, I'll come back to it. But like I said, I do see a difference in levels of morality when it comes to when it involves consuming animal DNA. Yeah, sure. Like, for instance, when you consider how different items are produced, such as honey, I don't believe that's morally wrong, okay? It's not like eating a dead cow, okay? It's not vegan. Eating honey is apparently not vegan. I mean, I guess you're still getting animal DNA is in the honey, but it's not blood that you're getting when you eat honey. And that's really what it all comes down to, is that when you eat animals, you're getting the dead flesh and the blood from that animal. It's DNA from those parts that makes its way into your blood, whereas honey is beneficial. It is healthy. Okay. And I think actually honey is probably the one thing that prevents me from being vegan. I don't have a problem with honey. I think the best thing to do is to have a local bee farm. If you know anybody, I just happen to know somebody who has a bee farm, and it's a lot of people say, well, you're stealing the food for the bees or whatever. I mean, people have a lot of reasons why you shouldn't eat honey, but I mean, like, I guess I look at what were the morals of John the Baptist. He did eat honey, things like that. He didn't eat the flesh of animals. All right. I don't know if he had the milk of animals or not. I don't know. But like I said, I feel like there are different levels. Like honey, I don't believe is morally wrong. I actually think that it is beneficial to the human body to consume raw, unfiltered, local, natural honey. Okay, there are a lot of health benefits to consume this honey in its purest form. Okay, and if it doesn't harm the bee in the process, then I just don't see how it would violate any moral boundaries. All right. Now, when it comes to dairy products, it takes it to another level of consuming animal DNA. Okay, you're ingesting milk from another species that was designed for those animals, not humans, okay? It's not a part of design. We weren't meant to stay on milk anyway, even coming from our mothers. Milk is one of those items that it's a natural design, but we were only meant to remain on our mother's milk for a short period of time until we can eat solid foods, okay? But at the same time, and I'm not talking about store-bought milk in the jug at Walmart. I'm talking about pure milk from a cow. It's drinking the milk of a cow is not the same as eating the cow itself. In fact, the way that our Creator designed the female anatomy to produce milk, whether it's a human or a cow, it was for the purpose of redistributing nutrients, okay? And that's not the case with the flesh of animals, which filters out those nutrients, all right? So milk from another species is not as morally wrong per se, but drinking a milk from another species is still unnatural, and it is not in compliance with the pattern for design. That's why I don't do it really anymore. Like milk, like long before I became vegan or plant-based or, whatever I am, however I want to categorize myself, long before we made the decision to stop eating the flesh of animals, we had stopped drinking milk. Anyway, milk just grosses us out. And we have been drinking nut milks and oat milk we mostly, 99% of the time, we drink oat milk, okay? And it's not, we don't even have a glass of oat milk. We just use oat milk, whether it's for cereal or whatever, breakfast cereals. My wife makes a chia seed pudding, a vanilla flavored chia seed pudding that she uses oat milk for. It is so good. I use it in my coffee, okay? Which, by the way, unpopular opinion, but light roast coffee, light roast, not dark roast, is the best. Whole bean, we grind our coffee beans every day. Fresh ground is the best. And light roast, that's where it's at. That's where you're getting the most flavor. Dark roast, and you'll notice the difference. Dark roast is just a burnt flavor. After you have the two side by side, light roast and dark roast, you'll know that all this time you thought dark roast and espresso was the best. Espresso beans, it just tastes so burnt. After you start making that transition to the light, you'll appreciate it more. It just has a lot of flavor. Anyway, that was for free. So we're talking about what's morally wrong, right? Like I said, milk, I don't think it's as morally wrong. It's just not natural to drink a cow's milk, okay? What about chicken eggs or duck egg, whatever you want? The egg, it's not considered life like the cow or the pig. So you're not killing anything to eat it, but it could potentially become a chicken, depending on fertilization. I don't know how it all works. I'm not a farmer. I don't, before, when I started writing Shifting the Torah Paradigm, I just thought all eggs became chickens. And so I really thought that, well, we're preventing the life of all chickens. I don't know that it works that way. But I guess there's a fertilization process. I thought that was it, though. A chicken lays an egg, then it was already fertilized. Whatever. I don't know the process. Now, a chicken may not have flesh or blood, an egg. An egg may not have flesh or blood, but it does consist of animal DNA nonetheless. I mean, we're talking, and why I would stay away from eggs more so than milk, I guess the order that I have these things listed is like, animal flesh and blood is like the number one, morality, stay away from. It's immoral. It is, you have to kill. You don't want to eat animal flesh. And then number two, I guess, would be the eggs, because that's like, it does have that the organisms in it deriving from animal cells. It's it has the membrane, albumin, whatever it's called, chalaza. All of these, there's different parts of eggs that I can't pronounce, but an egg consists of organisms deriving from animal cells. It's not what our Creator imagined for us to eat, okay? So it's like, to me, like animals and eggs, like flesh and eggs are like the two, just, for me, just stay away from them altogether. Now, milk from a cow, if it's done right, I don't have a problem if someone wants to drink. If they milk a cow themselves, I don't think that's morally wrong, I guess, but it's not what we were designed to do. And then honey, like I said, honey, I don't think there's anything wrong with honey. But you guys may have your own convictions, and that's fine. You don't have to go by what I say, but eating flesh, it just requires the slaughtering of the creature itself, which inevitably it means the free will of that animal is compromised, okay? And it's amazing that the very first chapter in the Bible, Genesis chapter 1, we are told that our Creator spent an entire day to bring forth the plants in advance for humans and animals to eat. And it's a simple picture. When you read Genesis chapter 1, it's described in clear and concise words so that any coherent person can understand the story. And during that time, nothing had to die in order to live, eat, or survive. Okay? Adam and Eve, they didn't consider anything that possessed the breath of life. They didn't consider it to be food. They didn't think the animals were given to be killed and eaten, okay? And, like this whole series, we've looked at people who, different theories that people have because they believe the text is favorable to their beliefs and lifestyles as carnivores. But, the text, it's clear. It establishes these aspects of design that we've looked at. It proclaims the glory of creation, the Father's creation, and it shows us the intentions for everything that He has made. He sets boundaries that were never meant to be crossed, and so that's the point, really. Mankind crossed those boundaries. And I've heard this saying a lot, being a part of a few different vegan groups, but food is grown, not born. Okay, so really, in the scope of things, there is a difference between a sentient being, whether it's a human or animal, versus the vegetation of the earth, a plant, a piece of fruit. Okay, plants don't possess the same breath of life or blood life like humans and animals. Okay, plants can be consumed without bloodshed. You don't have blood on your hands. That blood guilt that you would have had when you're eating animals. Okay, you can eat plants without violating Torah. When you eat animals, you are violating Torah. It's as simple as that. The law of our Creator. So the consumption of animals, like I said, it requires sacrifice, destroying what has been given, the breath of life. Okay, you take the free will of another sentient being. Okay, you destroy something that God breathed life into, a soul. All right. It wasn't by design that mankind began eating the animals. It was because we rebelled against the Father's ordinances. And that is why I've had this passage up here for the past few minutes. The earth also is defiled. Excuse me, is defiled. My voice is bugging out. The earth also is defiled. Forget it. Just read it. All right, sorry about that, guys. My voice is about shot for the day. The context of creation, eaters by design. I don't know what I'll bring to you next, but I hope you enjoyed this series, and I hope you share these videos with people. Thank you to everyone who is started to subscribe again to my channel after losing countless friends and people who used to love my conspiracy videos. Thank you to the people who have started watching the stuff that I have to say about compassion towards animals and the plant-based diet. I don't know when I'll make another video, but until then, stay tuned.